Hello and welcome to episode number 296 of the Launch Lounge podcast. Today you're going to discover why a quiet season or sluggish summer isn't necessarily a red flag. It could actually be a green light to build something even better. I'm also going to share the one thing most course creators do wrong when sales dip that actually makes their next launch worse, not better. So stay tuned. What do elections, holidays, and the summer have in common? They hijack attention, they spike ad costs, and they slow down your sales. If you've ever wondered, should I run ads during the election? If you've ever thought, well, no one's paying attention to their phones anyway during August, so I'm not going to bother with launching. Or if you've ever looked at your evergreen funnel and gone, why the heck is it all just going downhill? Then today's episode is for you. If your sales are feeling sluggish right now, or even if it has been sluggish for 6 months, maybe 8 months, maybe a year, then you could be in a slow season. Now, slow seasons are sometimes a week in a year, like Thanksgiving or Christmas. It could be a couple of months, like summer, or it could be a bigger, longer season that lasts for months and months and months. And I have answered the question, what should I do during the election? What should I do during Christmas? Should I launch over Thanksgiving? What am I going to do when my launch results keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller? I've answered those questions a bazillion and 3 times. And so today I'm going to unpack for you a little bit more about what a sales slump means and what it means when you're in a sales slump and whether it's seasonal or not. Here's the kicker. A sales slump isn't necessarily a period where you stop doing what you're doing. It isn't necessarily the bad news that you think it is. It could be the green light for something else. But it's important that you are able to identify what kind of slump you're in. Is it seasonal? Is it temporary? Or is it permanent? Because while everybody else starts panicking, they pause their promotions, they stop showing up, or they start ghosting their email lists until September, you can actually use this time to double down on the stuff that makes your next launch your biggest one. Now, I want to thank Chandler. Yes, I met a guy called Chandler and his surname is not Bing. And I'm sorry, Chandler. I'm sure you get that joke all the time. I'm sorry. I met Chandler on Instagram. Chandler sent me a message. You can find Chandler at Chandler the Hairstylist. I'm attracting so many hairstylists lately. I love it. I'm there for it. I've actually done a lot of work with hairstylists. Chandler wrote in and said, I would love to hear your take on the inverted commas summer slump or slow seasons for course creators. I've been scaling my evergreen funnel, and July, while still being a good month, has been my most challenging month yet. Man, Chandler, I feel you. I totally feel you. I have a client with a fantastic, beautifully profitable evergreen funnel. And the weirdest thing is we also had in July 1 week where there were 0 sales, 0, nothing, zilch. And the 2 weeks before that was a record, and the 2 weeks after that was a record. But and you go, what, why, what happened there, right? We don't know. But let's unpack this a little bit. Seasonal slumps or sales slumps can show up in a lot of different ways. The summer often creates slumps in sales or slowdowns. People are outside, they're traveling, they're not glued to their inbox, they're not reading emails as much as they do. They are not necessarily scrolling with the same intent that they would when they're not on holiday. If you think about your own behavior, the stuff that you're scrolling and consuming when you're sitting poolside versus the stuff that you're scrolling and consuming when you're working, it might be different. If you're like me, you've got two Instagram accounts. I have a personal Instagram account where I look at photos from my friends, engage with my friends, see holiday pictures, laugh at funny cat memes, and all the 45-year-old mum stuff, right? That has nothing to do with what we're doing here. And then I have the Launch Lounge account. And as soon as I open that account, it's all work. It's all work. That's one of the reasons I created two accounts, is because I was so sick of the bros showing up while I'm looking for advice on perimenopause, and then suddenly Russell Brunson pops up and I'm like, dude, nah, man, not today. Anyway, I digress. Summer slumps are a thing. Really, they really are a thing. HubSpot, I found a HubSpot article. I love HubSpot's articles. I love it when they do research. And they state that this is research done over 150K businesses. So all niches, not just course creators, probably very few course creators in there, probably mostly e-commerce businesses. In 2022, website traffic was down by 11% in July. But website traffic then goes back up 50% during Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Now consider this, July is a month, that's 30 days. Black Friday is 1 day. Cyber Monday is 1 day. Now, I'm sure if we can extrapolate that to like 4 days, because if you're anything like me, Black Friday starts on a Friday, but you only got your things together to start shopping by Sunday. And so you're probably, there's a lot of people still shopping on Saturday and Sunday during that Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. But 50% spike in traffic over those 4 days versus an 11% drop over 30 days is actually a lot more traffic that you're going to lose. So the summer slowdown is real. It is real. And that's one of the reasons you'll notice that course creators usually tend to launch either in the fall or in the spring. And I love it. I learned this from my American friends who'd come to me and say, well, we're going to launch in the fall. And then I'm like, what? Because over here, the fall is April. And also, we don't talk in seasons, but Americans do. And I love it. It's very funny, very entertaining for me when you guys say you're going to do stuff in the fall. Okay, so this is the reason people launch in the fall. Alrighty. But that doesn't mean you can't have a good sale in summertime. There are specific niches that do better in summer. If you sell bathing suits, you're going to do better in summer. If you sell a course on how to look great in your bathing suit, you might do better in summer. It depends. It really depends. But if summer is something where people are more likely to be looking for the solution that you provide, that's a great time to launch. If not, maybe just, do something else. We're going to talk about what the other thing is you should do. The next seasonal slump or seasonal downturn in launches is election season. Why? Why would an election bring about a reduction in traffic to your site? All those things. Let's see. Many years ago, when I started out in this space, when I was, let me go back, it's like 2016, 2017, around there, 100 internet years ago. I remember so well when people would talk about Marie Forleo B-School launch season. And the reason they talked about B-School season was because Marie Forleo at the time had the biggest affiliate program out there, right? She was the biggest name in the industry, and she had all the second biggest names being affiliates for B-School. So during that period, if you were someone who was selling any kind of marketing, social media, kind of the stuff that I do, ads, if you had any type of digital marketing niche or course creation niche, you avoided launching during February because it was B-School season. And the other reason was that everyone was running B School ads. And so we were all targeting the same people, and our ads costs were going up because everyone was competing for the same eyeballs, right? The same thing happens during an election, but just at a much larger scale. So you have political parties throwing millions and millions and millions of dollars into ad campaigns in a very short period of time. So if you think of the newsfeed as real estate, and there's only so much space in the newsfeed for ads, you have an election season, and over the course of about a month, ad cost dramatically spikes because every single political party is using ads to reach your audience as well. So there is a definite spike in ad cost, and attention is pulled towards the news. People are feeling more uncertain. People are feeling slightly more elevated anxiety, right? So they're not necessarily relaxing and scrolling and then checking out your offer. They are more like worried and consumed with other stuff, which is the whole thing in itself, right? But if you were running an evergreen funnel, that might mean that during an election for a few weeks, your sales are going to take a hit because your ad cost increases. So you get fewer people who sign up for your webinar, you get fewer people who show up because they're distracted, and they might not be in a buying mode because there's always uncertainty that goes along with that. So that's one season that we're talking about here. The next one is the holiday trifecta. You already know what I'm talking about because I know that when you live in the southern hemisphere like I do, come the end of November, we start it's like the wheels just suddenly slows down. Everything in the southern hemisphere starts to slow down at the end of November. Our schools start finishing in the beginning of December, and then it's summer holidays, and we're on the beach, and we're having drinks, and nobody wants to do any work in December, and then it's Christmas, we're all going away, and then the schools is still closed until Australia Day, at least here, which is the 26th of January. So nothing happens until the 26th of January. And then we all tag another week onto that so that we don't actually end up doing anything until February. So in the southern hemisphere, I know that we just from mid-November until early February, we slow down, I guess, just the same way as my northern hemisphere friends do during July and August. It's kind of a similar thing. And then you tack onto that Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And, they are notorious for low engagement, unless you're selling toys or tinsel. Holidays can really affect your course sales, but you also, and there's Boxing Day in there as well. But you also have the sales like Boxing Day and Black Friday and Cyber Mondays that comes in, and they are huge opportunities. And I'm going to tell you about a client of mine who actually launched her membership every single year. On Thanksgiving and on Christmas, she did a flash sale, and she did such a good job. And I'm going to tell you exactly why later. That's another season. The other season that is the more tricky one to navigate, and that requires a little bit more mindset work and a little bit more of that grit that we entrepreneurs develop when we sign up for this thing, or that we think we're tough until we become entrepreneurs, and then we learn we had no idea what tough is. We are really tough after a few years. If you've been in this business for 10 years, you are really tough. You know what I'm saying. And that season is economic shifts. And we're in one right now. I don't know if you can feel it. I feel it. I know my clients feel it. My friends feel it. Some of my mentors feel it. I hear everyone talking about this economic shift. There's rising interest rates and inflation and uncertainty. And they all cause hesitation and slow decision making. And this is probably the trickiest one to navigate. And in 10 years, I want to say I've seen about 3 shifts like this. I saw one obviously during COVID. I saw one during the iOS changes that Apple made to the privacy data and how the Pixel worked, and I'm seeing one in this post-COVID Trump second term economic weirdness of the world where we're in right now. It is very different. I can categorically say building a business and selling courses is categorically different than it was in 2016. It is categorically different than it was in 2020. It's categorically different than it was in 2023. And I want to say between 2023 and 2025, it's probably gotten harder but it's changing with AI coming out as well. It's changing. But here's the truth. Just because slumps are real and just because this seasonality is real doesn't mean they have to ruin your momentum. And my wish for you certainly is that you come and hang out with me so that we can have conversations about how you can risk-proof your business. Genuinely breaks my heart when I hear someone lose one funnel and it completely tanks their entire business. And that happens sometimes when you don't manage that risk. So let's talk about how to get through these seasonal slumps. The first one is you've got to manage your mindset, all right? And the first question I want you to ask yourself if you find yourself in a slump like this is this seasonal or is this a market shift? Because seasonal slumps we get through. Seasonal slumps we can anticipate, or seasonal slumps we can work around or figure out. But market shifts are different, and there really is a market shift going on right now. But I want you to be careful to assume that a slump is coming just because someone says it's coming. Remember my story about Marie Forleo and B School and how everybody would start pumping the brakes on everything in January because February is B School season? That is actually bad. That is wrong, and you should never do that, all right? If you know there's a season coming, like an election, something that is going to come and it's going to go, the last thing you want to do is stop your ads. Because when your ads starts running again, it's like if you think of the algorithm as a river, right? It's a river running, and in some places that river is really wide, and in other places the river is really narrow. Hey, if you've got a profitable online courses business, but you're stuck wondering what the right next move is to hit your 6 or 7 figure goals, listen up. I'm opening the doors to a brand new mentoring program for course creators just like you. You're not a beginner. You've made some sales. You've got the proof that your offer works, but the growth still isn't consistent or predictable, and you know you're ready for more. This isn't a one-size-fits-all program, and it's definitely not another step-by-step course. It's personalized, strategic support to help you grow your business your way, with clarity, confidence, and a custom plan that actually works to get you to your 6 or 7 figure goals. If you want in, then head to thelaunchlounge.com/mentoring and join the waitlist. Spots will be extremely limited, and waitlisters will get first dibs. Now back to the episode. The algorithm optimizes for your ads based on the competition for the newsfeed at the moment when you turn those ads on. And so if you turn those ads off, you're jumping back into the river, and you don't know under what conditions you're jumping back into the river. And you could have had some really nice juice flowing on that ads, but the fact that you switched them off and then, there was a huge market disruption and now you're switching them back on means that now the algorithm has to optimize again, but it's optimizing under different circumstances, and you don't know what those circumstances are. So you're probably better off just keeping your ads running if they're working and keeping them cruising through this period than switching them off and starting again. So just the first thing is I want you to think, is this seasonal or is this a market shift? And if it is seasonal, don't switch off your ads. And we're going to talk about a few other things you shouldn't do, but just identify whether it's a market shift or a seasonal slump. For Chandler, who asked me, it sounds to me like you're saying July was still a good month, but it was your lowest month ever. I think you have to ride it out a little bit longer before you can decide. I think when you see a downward trend on your evergreen funnel over 6 months, and you've done everything to optimize that funnel, you've really tracked your data, you know exactly how many people are signing up, how many people are showing up, how many people are converting, how many people are opening your emails, how many are going to the sales page, how many are converting, and you've optimized every single one of those dials in your business, and you're still seeing a downturn, then we're talking about a market shift. So know the difference, and keep an eye on it so that you know if there are things that happen that you're just going to have to ride out because you have a bigger picture in mind, or if it is actually your market telling you that they're shifting or they're changing. Also remember, slumps can possibly make you doubt everything. When your sales suddenly starts tanking, uh, it is very normal to go, why is this happening to me? What have I done? Where have I messed up? Uh, you know, maybe, we know, but none of us is perfect, but maybe there is something that you haven't been quite consistent on, or you haven't quite been doing as much as you should. And then you can start beating yourself up. And I want you to just go, no, I'm not going to do that. The antidote to doubting everything is tracking everything, right? So you can just look at numbers. So, I can hear all my spreadsheet allergic friends sighing right now. I know who you are. But doing a bit of boring data tracking every month is completely and totally worth the time when it helps you know, not guess or feel, if you're in a slump or if you're just in a bit of a funk, all right? And also, the funk is never about you, right? It's about your work, and know how to differentiate between the two. I want you to remind yourself that this is not personal, it is cyclical. This is especially true if you have an evergreen funnel that's been struggling for months. The ads industry is a really great example of this. We were all on top before COVID. And during COVID, it was like, it's a raining men, hallelujah. That's where we were at. Now, now today, I know ads managers who are taking jobs. I know ads trainers that have lost their livelihoods because of their funnels, because their funnels are not as profitable as they used to be. I see people who came sort of up in the ranks with me and did really, 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 really well as ads managers or agency managers, and they've just disappeared. They're just gone. Now, I mean, I know that people's lives change and people's priorities change, but it's hard for me to believe that someone who worked for 6-7 years on a business and got to a certain level of success has just decided to disappear or to go in a different direction. It's possible. It's totally possible. But what I'm saying is, meta ads is one of those things where we are not just in a seasonal downturn. If you are an ads manager or if you have an agency, it is more of a market downturn. And if you work in e-commerce, you're probably less affected than if you're working with coaches or course creators, because e-commerce is a lot more black and white, and people need their stuff. I had a conversation with someone, and it absolutely breaks my heart to listen to her deep sadness that her course is not selling like it used to. And she held on for so long because she didn't want to feel like she's quitting. But facing a changing marketplace and quitting is not the same thing. It is doing the brave thing and pivoting. And pivoting before you go broke is wisdom. Hanging on when all the signs says your market has changed is stubborn blindness. And it takes courage to admit that you've tried and that the market has spoken. Because at the end of the day, the market has the final say. So why could this be your best opportunity to create long-term growth? I get asked this every single time there's an election. Should I stop my ads during the election? Or should I stop my ads during summer? Or should I stop my ads during the holidays? The answer is not just, and this does not just apply to ads. I've already explained why it applies to ads. You know, the river thing and then jumping into the algorithm. This applies to email marketing, to social media, to every single thing you do in your business that promotes you and puts you in front of new customers. You should absolutely categorically not stop what you're doing. If it is a short-term slump, don't slow down, don't switch off, don't post list, and don't throw in the towel and lie down on the beach. Not yet. It's not your turn. When the world slows down, smart marketers starts to build. They start to ramp up. You can use these slumps to audit and optimize your funnel. And that's going to be easier if you've tracked all the data. And if you work with me, you'll know how to track the data. You can redo your onboarding sequences so that those students who sign up for your courses end up staying longer because they had such an amazing onboarding experience that they're making full use of your course offer. You look at your email sequences, update those welcome sequences. You know, it's probably been a year or 2 or 3 or maybe 10 since the last time you updated your email welcome sequences. Update them. Is there room for improvement? Is there a way you can use new technology to become even more personal with your people who just signed up for your newsletter or your email list? What can you add that'll increase scarcity or service or urgency into your launches? Those are things you can think about. Is there a special bonus you've been dying to add and you just never had time to do it, and now in the summer slump you can? Create nurture content that turns cold leads warm. So maybe this is the time to create that email sequence that brings those people who haven't opened an email in 90 days back into the mix. Create low dollar offers. Add them to your lead magnets. If you put a $47 or $27 or even a $7 offer on your thank you page, and 1% of the people who download your lead magnet buys this low dollar offer, you're in the win. That's fantastic. You're doing well. Batch your content. Batch your content. These summer slumps are the time to sit down and really create like as much content as you can so that you can focus on other things when there starts to be more movement again. In that time when you're going to be doing a live launch, you don't want to be recording podcast episodes then. You don't want to be sending out blog posts. You don't want to be writing emails. So batch your content during those times. Maybe those times are the best time to finally optimize your posts for SEO. It is not hard. It doesn't take long. There's a recipe. You follow the recipe, and maybe you just sit down and you go through all of your blog posts and you just optimize them for SEO. Use a tool like Yoast SEO. It's what I use, and it pretty much tells me step by step exactly what to do to keep things SEO'd. And there's nothing beats getting a lead for your business, getting someone who inquires about your business, and they say in the question, how did you hear about us? Google. And recently there's been a lot of ChatGPTs coming through for me. So the fact that we're SEO optimized means that when people find us, they find us through ChatGPT because they go to ChatGPT asking for recommendations. So that helps. So that's something you can do during that time. See if there's systems and processes you can simplify. Create some SOPs. I'm in the process of thinking about how I can better use AI to automatically update SOPs. So if we add a new step to a process, how can I just really quickly automatically update that SOP or get the team member to update that so that there's always an like a live manual that it's alive and it's constantly evolving. So think about that. Think about things that you can hand off to your VA that you've been holding on to, that actually, if you just spend the few hours to set up the training, then they can do it from here on out. Those are the things you can do during these slumps. Think of it like this. Farmers don't harvest year round. There's prepping and there's planting and there's waiting seasons too. And this might be your planting season. You can do more of what you know you should be doing more of in this time. But when sales are hot, you use that as the reason not to do this thing. So ask yourself, what can you do more of that you know you should be doing more of, but you don't when sales are hot? That's why you have this season. This season is for you to do that one thing that you know you should be doing more of. So do that. Now let's talk about when it becomes time to pivot because you're in more than just a season. And this is for my friend Chandler, who wrote the question in. I will tell you that I have never, ever met an evergreen funnel owner who did not freak out when their funnel didn't make money for a week. I have no, that's not true. That is not true. I have met one. I have met one evergreen funnel owner. She was also a property investor. And so she looked at her evergreen funnel through different eyes because she was used to tracking a return on investment year over year. And so the weekly fluctuations didn't faze her. She looked at it over a year and she said, well, I'm $30,000 in profit on this funnel year on year, and I do nothing to sustain it. So why would this be bad? She's the first person I worked with who showed me that having that bigger picture view of your evergreen funnel and looking at annually or monthly is not just better for your mental health, but it is better for your bank account because you're not going to make any knee-jerk decisions about stopping or changing or scaling or stopping your ads or making big things, big changes. So let's be real. Not every dip is seasonal. If it's been quiet for months and not just during July or December, maybe it's time to ask yourself, has your audience shifted? Is your messaging still connecting? Or has the market evolved faster than your funnel? Is the buying conditions different? Today, we know that people talk about a trust recession. We're in a trust recession. If you throw AI and how fast AI is changing things into that, it makes sense to think people are a bit more hesitant to commit to learning course content from us if they just found us on the internet. So maybe your funnel needs to be a bit longer. Maybe you need a bit more nurturing in there. Or maybe you need to face the reality that the economy is impacting your sales and you're going to need to make a bigger plan, make a bigger change, make more of a business level change than just a funnel level change. So right now, across the board, we're seeing a shift in how people buy courses online. You know, we're in this trust recession and people are just not throwing money around like they used to, especially during COVID. There are things going on in the world that makes us think twice before investing. And then there are, AI and the impact that AI will have. And sure, it makes our lives easier, this AI thing. It absolutely makes my life easier. And it makes it easier for us to create content. I know I won't be able to publish the amount of content I do on a weekly basis if I didn't have AI to help me. But can your ideal customer also go to ChatGPT or Claude and get the same information you're selling to them? If they can, I want to suggest that maybe you have a bigger problem than just a seasonal slump. Sometimes slumps expose the bigger gap, like misalignment in your offer with your ideal client or your content. But sometimes slumps expose bigger shifts in the global economy, in the way that people buy, and in how they interact with online courses. Admitting that your market has changed or that online marketing or AI is changing how the market interacts with your business is not failure or weakness. It shows you can honestly assess the market and make smart decisions to pivot so that you remain profitable. Make the right pivot when your long-term data indicates that a pivot is required, not a panicked one because you didn't make a sale for a couple of weeks or because your ad costs spiked during an election. So let's bring this home. Seasonal slumps, they're real. It's not your imagination. But they don't have to wreck your confidence, your momentum, or your business. Whether you're navigating the summer slowdown, election year ad spikes, or just a season where it feels like your audience ghosted you. Remember this. Summer slumps are signals. They're not stop signs. Sometimes they're telling you to pause, gather some data, reflect, and refine. Other times they're handing you the exact window you need to build something better. Better funnels, better systems, better positioning, better messaging, better conversions, better onboarding. And if you're seeing a long-term decline, don't ignore it. Be the kind of business owner who pivots with power, not panic. There's no shame in changing direction when the market changes. That's not quitting, that's leadership. So here's what I want you to do. Track your data weekly. If you're live launching, track your launch data every time in detail, as much detail as you can. Build during the quiet phases. Pay attention to what the slump is actually trying to tell you, and most of all, don't disappear because the sales dip. Because while everyone else is taking their foot off the gas, you could be building the kind of business that thrives no matter the season. All right, so there you have it. Slumps are signals, not stop signs. And listen, if what I shared today hit home, if you're sitting there wondering whether your dip in sales is just seasonal or if it's time to make a bigger strategic move in your business, then I've got something for you. I'm opening the doors to a brand new mentoring program for course creators who are done guessing and ready for some real answers. You already know your stuff works, you've made sales, but you need someone who can look at your data, your funnel, your messaging, the whole big picture, and tell you exactly what your next right move should be. This isn't about following someone else's step-by-step process. You've done that already. This is about getting the kind of personal, strategic support that helps you build a business that thrives, no matter what the season you're in. Summer slumps, election chaos, whatever curveball the market is throwing at you next. If you want in, head to thelaunchlounge.com/mentoring and join the waitlist. Because while everyone else is panicking about their numbers, you could be the one building something bulletproof. And spots will be extremely limited, and waitlisters will get first access. Now go build your freedom empire, slump or no slump. And I'll see you again next time. Bye. If you're loving what we're covering today, I've got something special for you. Right now, and for a limited time, I'm creating exclusive bonus content for every single episode that goes way deeper than what we can cover here on the show. Think actionable worksheets, behind-the-scenes insights, and the tools I actually use to get these results. It's completely free, but it's only available to my email subscribers. If you want to get more actionable help and dive even deeper with me, the only way to get it is to sign up. Head to thelaunchlounge.com/podcast-freebie right now to grab today's bonus content and never miss future episodes' exclusive materials.